This is part 7 in the series of tutorials for constructing our Drive app. This is also the second one in stage 3. And in the previous video, we got as far as step 18 in stage 3, and we added track part parentheses 1, which is really, the second one. This is 0, this is 1, and we got to, now we're getting to step 19 where we're going to add a ramp, because the first two parts were just like, straight roads. From the Drive Stage 3 Teachers Pack, in the folder called Meshes, we're going to unfold an object called modular track ramp and drag only the mesh out of everything this object has. We only need the shape, the mesh, which is called modular track ramp, to the scene, because we need to do things to it before we make it a child. It will eventually be part of the whole track, but for right now, it's not going to be a child of anything, and it would look magenta for now because it has no material. So first of all, let's find it. Drive Stage 3 Teachers Pack, the folder called Meshes, and modular track ramp, not to drag the whole thing, but I'm going to unfold it and find only the mesh called modular track ramp, because you see it has all kinds of things we don't need, like lane divider and so on. So modular track ramp, you can already see that that's the mesh, and we're going to drag it to the scene, not as a child of anything, and yes, if we can see it, it will be magenta. Now we're going to apply all kinds of changes to it, and once it fits our track, we'll make it a child of whole track. But while we're building it, it's an independent project, an independent object. No material. Now we're going to nest modular track ramp as a child. So once it's on the scene, now we're going to nest it. Then we need to give it some parameters, because right now it's totally it's definitely not a ramp. I mean, it's a ramp, but it's behind us. It's not in the right place, and so on. What we're going to give it is this. We're going to give it 0, 102.07, and 40. Let me put them side by side so it will be easy and I will not have to remember by heart. Okay, so 0. Not just 102, but 102.07. You will see it attaches itself perfectly to the existing parts, and it's going to be 40. And it's already in front of us, only it's like kind of upside down, which is why, as far as rotation, we're going to give it 180 degrees, and right now it's much better. And as far as scale, it's going to be 0.5 on all dimensions. And once we do that, if we get close to it, we can see that it's perfectly attached. It still doesn't have a decent material, but it's attached perfectly to the second track part that we have. So, speaking of material, in the folder that we created in the first part, where we called Stage 3 Developer Assets, we created a material for track part 1. We're going to duplicate it, call it Track Mat 2, and we're just going to change the albedo color, or the base map. Used to be called albedo. Let's take that word out. The base map color to your liking. I did some kind of orange and then assign it to the modular ramp. So if we find that folder, which we called Stage 3 Developer Assets, here's the Track Mat 1, the one we created for the road. I'm going to duplicate it. It automatically gets the name Track Mat 2. The only change I'm going to make in it is make it slightly more, let's say, orangey, but that's up to you. Just to, so the ramp will have a slightly different material than regular road, and more importantly, I will give it to the ramp, something like this. If you play and try to drive up this ramp, you will fall right through it. Let's see. And I think you know why. If I drive all the way to the ramp, fall right through it. Why am I falling right through it? Because it does not have a collider. So that will be a next step because there's no collider. So, of course, don't forget to stop before you complete editing. One more thing I got to say about stopping. Pause does not mean stop. Stop is pressing play again. So right now it's playing. And stop is the square. So some students or beginners think that stopping means pausing. Pausing simply freezes the frame, but you're still in play. And remember, while you're still in play, none of your edits can be saved. We're going to add a mesh collider. Remember, mesh collider means a collider in the shape of what you see. And also, we're going to add the physics material road to it. So, add component, mesh collider. Automatically, it will use the modular track ramp as its mesh, and we're going to use as our physics material. We're going to use the road. I don't think it says anything about making it. Nope, we don't need to make it convex. We don't need to check convex. Let's just check. If now I drive, I should be able to drive on the ramp, jump from the ramp, and then, of course, fall. And here I am falling to the ocean floor. And I can stop. Like it says, if you play, you should be able to drive and jump off the ramp. If that worked, don't forget to stop. I didn't. We're going to drag modular track ramps to stage 3 developer assets and turn it into a prefab so we can use it again. So I'm going back to the developer's assets, and now it's a prefab. Now we can continue. As a child of Holtrack, we're going to create a cylinder. The idea is that after we jump off of this ramp, we need like a landing pad. And it's going to be kind of a round, more like a very flat cylinder, round and flat. So we're going to create a cylinder, Holtrack. It's going to be a child of Holtrack. 3D object, cylinder. Very important before I even continue. Remember, cylinders, for some reason, it's very, not usable for us, come with capsule colliders. I'm going to either disable, or in this case, maybe even remove the capsule collider. It's going to have a different collider. That cylinder will get the name round pad. Now, to actually turn it into a nice round pad, we're going to give it these parameters. So I'm going to move this. There's one number there that's kind of important that's going to put it exactly in line with the next track parts, and that's the number I circled. Let me zoom out a little bit. That 99, whatever. But first, we're going to give it 0x 99.7002. Going to be very careful about that. 55 meters ahead of me. No rotation, and it's going to be 15 meters wide, half a meter thick, and 15 meters, so it's completely round. Now, when I look at it, here it is. So the idea is, when I look at it from above, is that when I jump off the ramp, I have something to land on. But it needs something else instead of its capsule collider. So delete its capsule collider, I did. Instead, we're going to add a mesh collider and add the physics material, even though I can't see it, I know what it says, the physics material road. So it doesn't have a collider at all. Add component, mesh collider, which will give it cylinder. I don't know why when you create a cylinder it doesn't automatically give it a cylinder mesh collider, but something we have to live with. And the physics material road. So it has, so it's not totally too smooth. It means that when I jump now, I should be able to land on the pad. But before I do, I'm going to give it a nice material. And the one I used, which of course is just a recommendation, is from those nice metallic, materials. The one that ends with the number 12, but I changed the smoothness to 0.4, which is totally up to you. So as far as materials, I'm going to go to number 12. I like how it's like, it looks like a pad, and I already have the smoothness as at 0.4. Again, remember, the smoothness is not the smoothness of the material, but smoothness as far as reflecting light. So right now what I have is something I can try to jump off of. It's not going to be easy to land on because there's nothing after that, but it's possible. So I'm going to jump, not too fast. Oh, see, I didn't jump fast enough, so let me try again. It's kind of recommended to get the feel for this. Of course, I'm using arrows right now. Here I am, I landed, and because I hit reverse in time, I was able to land on this. If I look around, I cannot go back because the ramp is above me. If I try to, jump, I will fall right into the ocean floor. Good. And like it says, now you should be able to drive, jump off the ramp, and land on the round pad. Chances are you will fall off if you accelerate too much. That's okay. If that worked, don't forget to stop. Then we're going to use that round pad a few more times. So we're going to turn it into a prefab. And I'm putting that prefab in stage 3 developer assets. So that completed step number 31. We're going to add one more instance. It should be the third one, and automatically, I would say instead of add, I'm going to change that word to duplicate. Because like I told you, I prefer duplicating to just dragging, because when you drag, it gets weird transform. When you duplicate, it starts from the same transform as its, as its parent. It should be named track part parentheses 2 because it's the third one, and we're going to give it these parameters. That's going to be like what we keep driving on after we landed on the round pad. So I'm going to take track part 1. I'm going to edit, duplicate. Now, do I need to move it somewhere? I don't have to, but just to keep it organized for me, I'm going to move it to be after the round pad, so I got those parts organized in the order the driver will encounter them. But more important is the fact that I know I gave it, I can identify it by name, and that I can, and that I'm giving it the right transform. And the right transform would be 0, 100, instead of 20, 70, and everything else stays the same, 5, 0.4, and 20. So you can see that it's continuing the road after the round pad. I want to show you something. When I look at it from above, it looks like they're not meshing very well, but this is because I'm looking at orthographic. If I look at it in perspective, it looks like it's just below the surface, just like a tiny little jump. That's why we gave the round pad that's 0.02, so it's a little above it, so the materials don't fight to be on the same plane. The next thing to do will be another track part, and as you can see, it's going to have exactly the same parameters. It's going to be my fourth one, which is why it's going to be called 3, and its Z is going to be 90. So track part 2, duplicate, and give it 90, well, because each trackpad is 20 meters. And now I got this to extend, save. The next thing I'm going to do is duplicate my round pad, and it should be the second one, and therefore called round pad 1. It's going to have exactly the same parameters as before, only its Z is going to be 100. So my round pad, edit, duplicate. It's called round pad 1. I'm going to put it at the end of the hierarchy just so I have them in order. And the only difference between, the previous one and this one is that it's going to have Z100, which means I jump off the ramp, round pad, drive a little bit, then there's another round pad. After the round pad, which was step number 34, I'm going to duplicate another straight track part. It's going to be my 5th one and therefore be called track part 4. Look at the changes we're going to give it. It's going to have Z100 and Y90 because we're making a turn. So I'm going to take track part 3, edit, duplicate, put it at the end of my hierarchy and give it 190 instead of 90 meters, 100 meters, and Y 90 degrees. And actually, there's one more change there, isn't there? Yeah, 15 meters on the X. And if I look at it from above, I can see that we're starting a turn. So this is where we are right now. Drive, jump, land on the pad, drive a little more straight, get to another pad, turn right. We're going to duplicate our 6th one to continue it. And you will see that actually now, because we made a right turn, we're going to start increasing the X. Instead of 15, it's going to be 35. Next part, edit, duplicate. It gets the number 5, which means it's our 6th one. And instead of 15, 35, 20 meters for each part. So this continues it. And I believe now we're going to add another round pad. Another round pad, which will be my 3rd one, which will, as you probably guess, will mark another, turn. It'll be called round pad 2 because this one is called round pad 1. But it's my 3rd one. I'm going to put it at the end of my hierarchy. And the only difference that's going to have from the previous one is X50. Instead of 0, 50, and that puts it just where it needs to be. So this is what my track looks like so far. Here's my little car. Drive, jump, pad, drive, another pad, make a right turn, hit another pad. So by now, looking at the track from above, it should look like this. If it does not, go back to previous steps and check your numbers. And try to get the feel of the track by playing in Unity. Try to drive, jump, turn, and so on, and get all the way to the end of whatever we have so far, which is less than half of the track we're going to end up with. In step 40, we're going to add a script so when we fall to the ocean floor, because there's a chance we're going to fall to the ocean floor, we're going to have a sound, and not only just a sound, but also it will reload the scene. It will give us a new life. But it feels like this is something that will be a good thing to do in the next step. As a matter of fact, the audio source, add the resource, not Rasul, whatever I spelled here. So what I'm saying is, time to add a script and a sound. Add an audio source to the ocean floor. Add the resource Metal Bang Underwater and uncheck Play on Awake. So let's do that before we're done with this part. So I'm going to the ocean floor and saying you're going to have a sound. So unfolding what I got already, add component audio source. The audio resource I'm going to add is the Metal Bang Underwater. That's what it sounds like. Let's see, is that the one? Uncheck Play on Awake, because it's not going to play it as soon as we play the game. It's going to wait for a script to wake it up. And before we stop this part, we're going to assign the tag player to the player, because the whole idea would be that the ocean floor, through its script, is going to detect whether the player hit the ocean floor and then, do what it needs to do. So we're going to select the player, and in this case, we don't need to create a tag. It's one of the tags that comes with every Unity project. We just need to tag it as player. That's it, just a tag player. And it's with a capital P, and that's the way we're going to make sure that it appears in the script. So what I'm asking you is to do step number 42 and 43 in the My Scripts folder to create a mono-behavior script called Ocean Floor Script with exact name, attach it to the ocean floor so it has a script, and then type the code here. And what I'm going to do is go over this code as the first thing in the next part of this tutorial. So this has been part 7. I will see you in part 8, which will also be the third one in stage 3.